This is the Final Fantasy Entertainment and Podcast Network Final Fan TV, and today we're talking about We're talking about doom 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 doom, boom 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 boom. Boo doo 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 doo. I'm gonna go the whole way. But we have a community spotlight. It is TroubadorPoet from our comment section on YouTube, and man, let me tell you, it is so great to spotlight this final fan. TroubadorPoet, real name Zack. Zack, how you doing today, man? Thanks so much for being on the show.
It's an honor to be on your show.
Man, it's an honor to have you on the show. I'm so happy you're here because when you leave comments on our channel, they're well written, well thought out, backed with plenty of support to your theories, your opinions, and I just felt it's time to bring you onto the show, amplify your voice so that more people can hear your thoughts on this. And even if I disagree on them, I still think it's okay because it's a passionate, it comes from a place of passion, and I think that's what's important. Even if you don't like this is not regarding Zack, but anybody out there listening, if you don't like Final Fantasy VII Remake, you don't like something that we're talking about, that's fine. If you leave it in the comments, I read it and I love it. You know what I mean? I think it's just great because you take the time to write it out in the comment section, which means I'm going to take the time to read it. Unfortunately, I can't respond to everything, so that's why TroubadorPoet is here. We're going to talk to him in person, and I'm excited to talk about Cosmo Canyon, Red 13, and what that could be like for Rebirth. I'm excited to talk about Zack's fan fictions, which he does. He's currently working on one that's very related to this topic, and so much more. So before we do that, we also have the Firaga Fighter, Vinny.
Talking to me?
I'm talking to you. What's up, man?
Oh, yeah, no.
My mic's
What are we talking about today?
Cosmo Canyon and Red 13.
Who's that?
Oh, snap it. Even if you don't know anything about it, we're going to have you on the show. And I'm just kidding. This is Red 13 and Cosmo Canyon are Firaga Fighters, Vinny's most anticipated things in Rebirth. So I know you're excited to be here. And I am the warrior of hype. So let's get right into it after those introductions.
I didn't do this.
What's up?
Hold on, wait, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, wait.
Say your name
again?
The Firaga Fighter. Bubbles. All right, we're having fun today. I hope you guys are out there having fun watching us. So please be sure to join in the chat. Your chat's right there. We're live on YouTube and Twitch today, so that's pretty cool. You'll be able to see everybody's chat right there.
Everything's wet now.
Oh yeah, everything's wet now. I mean, you meant because of the bubbles, of course.
The bubbles. Yeah, the bubbles.
So. So let's get right into it. Zack's like, hey guys, what's up? All right, so Zack, let's get some introductions real quick. I want people to get to know who you are. I want to get to know who you are. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Zack.
Well, I'm a musician. I'm an artist. And I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, just like you guys, I have same amount of passion, and that's why I love watching your podcasts and listening, because you guys really got the wheels in my head turning and made me think a lot of things. So a lot of these comments that I have written was induced by the conversation that you and Vinny and your other guests have pretty much facilitated.
Thank you so much for that. Man, that's an honor that we can inspire you, which is it's just crazy to think. But I mean, I guess that's why we click, man. I guess that's why we click. I can sense that passion in your comments. So awesome. I can definitely tell that you're a big Final Fantasy VII fan. Even to the point where I just discovered this. I just learned this when we were emailing back and forth, that you write fan fiction.
Yes. As a matter of fact, it's as a fan, you always want more, right? And so. And I kept thinking, I remember when they kept talking about how they were going to release this Tifa DLC of where she went on, and I actually had wrote a comment about what that DLC could have in it, and so I just got to thinking, Biggs and Wedge and Jesse were never made playable. And I was just thinking, since there's only 4 playable characters, if they would have made all 3 of them playable, there would have been a nice cast of playable characters. I mean, and then I wrote a chapter where Biggs and Wedge are playable characters, and wrote a story to it. It's called Biggs and Wedge's Mission, but I don't want to give too much of it away.
Yeah, no, don't, because I want to go read it now. That sounds awesome. So where can everybody go read your fanfics?
Fanfiction.com. Look, author Minstrel of May.
The Minstrel of May.
Yeah, Minstrel of May.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, that's
where is that at?
Well, yeah, we're going to try and link that. Vinny's going to find that link. Is that what you're doing there, Vinny?
Correct.
All right, awesome. Yeah, we're going to try and link that, man. So that sounds exciting, but another really exciting project you're working on is a Red 13 fanfic. Am I right?
You're absolutely right.
Man,
absolutely.
And you told me a little bit about it, man. So go ahead and tell the audience what you got going on. Just if you want a little preview.
Yeah, well, I'll give so basically the title is called Red 13, Denna, Shinra, and the Nanaki clones. So basically the idea is based off of the original idea that was scrapped from the original OG game, and basically they were going to put, clones of Nanaki in the game, and, the original idea wasn't exactly perfect, but the idea itself was really cool. I was really interested in it, and I kept thinking about it, and I kept thinking that we would see it in a remake, and we didn't, and then it just kind of inspired me, well, if they were going to be in a remake, how would I put them in? And so that's kind of exactly what I'm doing right now.
That's pretty exciting. I like that. We're talking about Cobalt 14 and Indigo 15. These were clones originally planned for Final Fantasy VII. So, and if I remember correctly from reading about this, it was going to be they were going to be clones from Midgar, and then they would actually end up being fights in the final cave. I assume that is the Northern Cave. They were going to show up again to finally prove themselves better than Red 13 or something like that?
Yes, they were wanting to plan a show that they were superior to Red 13.
That's it.
But of course, they get defeated. But Red 13 asks Cloud and his companions to spare them, since they are, of course, of his same kindred.
Yeah.
And potentially redeeming them. Oh, there's that word again, redemption.
That word's going to give me I'm just going to get scared of it every time I hear it, man. We were talking beforehand about some redemption arcs that who knows where this conversation goes. It might circle back to it, but we're gonna try it. We're trying to keep it close to Cosmo Canyon today, focused in on that. So anybody in chat, if you guys want to speculate alongside us, Vinny's gonna keep an eye on chat and let your voices be heard just as well. So let's get into it, man. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to talk about Troubadour before we move on from that? To let people know what you do and who you are.
Well, like I said, I'm a musician. I take care of my dad. He had a stroke, and so he's my first mission is to make sure that my dad is taken care of and he gets what he needs.
Good man. Good. That's really good.
Family's very important to me, of course.
Oh man, I can tell you're a good dude. I love. Oh, that's yes, absolutely. Family is.
And I like to I call myself Troubadour because I like to travel, and I'm a musician. So I like to go to Canada. I like to go to Quebec. I'm a francophone. I love parle français, du parle français. Oui,
Okay.
I'm not 100% fluent in French, but I can speak it well enough to where when I go across the Canadian border, I get a lot of smiles from the guards in the Quebecois border.
Yeah. Look at that, a true troubadour. Awesome. Awesome. Wow, that's really cool. I don't know if Twitch is going to ban us for whatever you just said, but we're going to I'm just kidding. I know you didn't say anything. But that is really cool, man. And just sounds like, just all around good guy. So thanks so much for being here. It's an honor to have you on here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
And we have Skytron off YouTube saying that they hope your dad gets well soon.
There you go. Yeah, I
I
agree.
appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, let's go right into some Cosmo Canyon and Red 13 speculations and stuff like that. So, first of all, Vinny, I know this is a topic that you are also very attached to, man, because this is your favorite thing. This is what your most anticipated location. So, yeah, man, I want to hear from you too. You know what I'm saying? You were telling me a little bit about something about the the Valley of the
Fallen Star.
Yeah, this is something I want to kind of throw in there just to get people's mind juices flowing. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
So Cosmo Canyon's original name was Valley of the Fallen Star, and then I don't really think that was fleshed out or had anything really behind it, similar to Midgar's original 8, cities having names, and then, they never never touched on that. But so when I found out that Cosmo Canyon's original name was Valley of the Fallen Star, obviously I started thinking immediately. The first thing I thought of was
Genova.
that Genova landed there, but
Yeah.
but then immediately after that, I was just like, wait, no, you idiot! She landed in Northern Crater. I'm pretty sure that was like the canonical. That's where she landed. But then theory crafting, and I could be absolutely completely wrong about this, as I probably am, like 99.9% sure. But I take into consideration who lives in Cosmo Canyon, and so Bugenhagen lives in Cosmo Canyon, and he is obviously different than a lot of the characters we meet in the game. He can hear the cries of the planet, which is something basically specific to Cetra, I believe. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's a Cetra. Nothing ever says that he's one of the ancients. He can hear the cries of the planet, but I don't think he's an ancient. Another thing is he dies at the age of 129, which is very, very old for a human. Even in Final Fantasy VII's lore, I'm almost certain that they have probably a similar lifespan to us. Him living to 129 is astronomical even by the game standards. So, Valley of the Fallen Star, it makes me think, okay, so what if Genova is not the only one of her species that has come to this planet? Genova, just because she's evil, doesn't mean that her entire species is evil. So my theory would be maybe Bugenhagen was the falling star that landed in Cosmo Canyon, similar to how Genova was landed at the Northern Crater.
Yeah.
And Bugenhagen, if not the same species as Genova, maybe another alien from outer space that landed on Earth to help Earth defend itself against Genova, because his species of whatever he is knows of Genova's malice and an evil nature. So
Interesting.
Valley of the Fallen Star, I think, is again, I could be vastly wrong.
Yeah.
But Valley of the Fallen Star, Bugenhagen was that fallen star, and it would be cool if Rebirth really kind of fleshed out Cosmo Canyon and brought these original ideas like Valley of the Fallen Star, an origin to Bugenhagen, how he's like wise, he's Red 13's mystic grandpa.
He's the Yoda, right? The Yoda of Final Fantasy VII. Like, he obviously knows a lot more than a typical person. So him being like related to the Cetra is interesting. That's definitely, I mean, hey, that's a crazy theory about him being another like alien from, but I mean, I don't know. I think regardless is that Bugenhagen is such a mysterious character that you want to see him get fleshed out a little bit more as a character. there's a couple things that Bugenhagen says in the game that I kind of wanted to share. It shows that he's letting on a lot more than, you know, that you get to explore in the original. So like, he basically just straight up tells the party, he says, when it's time for the planet to die, you'll understand that you know absolutely nothing, Jon Snow. And I was like, that he doesn't say Jon Snow, but he says you'll understand that you know absolutely nothing. And then Cloud goes, when the planet dies, and he goes, it may be tomorrow or 100 years from now, but it's not long off. So, you know what I mean?
He's Adam Sandler in this?
Yeah, he's Adam Sandler. Yeah, that's it.
Adam Sandler plays Bugenhagen in
that's it.
in the live action.
Yeah, absolutely. He says, how do you know this? And he goes, I hear the cries of the planet. Like you said, Vinny, yeah. And then he's like, what? Cloud says, what's that? Now, I have so much that I can circle back to, I want to, but just remember what I'm saying right now, okay? This is what Bugenhagen says. The sounds of the stars in the heavens, while this goes on, the planets are born and die. So he knows things. And then you have, oh my god, Night Sky Prince rating with 37. Thanks so much, Night Sky Prince. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. So, yeah, like, Adam Sandler is a Bugenhagen in this game.
We have two things from chat. So from YouTube, we have Artable, who says, Bugenhagen translates to fallen man. And, probably just as interesting, Round 2 Gaming says that it translates to belly chin. What are the implications?
Belly chin and one of them is very eyebrow raising. The other one is chin raising.
Just as eyebrow raising.
It's just as eyebrow raising. But
I wonder what language is. If anybody knows, I could probably look it up real quick. But Bugenhagen, is that being translated from two different languages? Because I don't. Those are vastly different translations. But I would like to know what language that is translated from.
Bugenhagen almost sounds German.
Yeah, but there's also a place in New York called Copenhagen, which I feel like would be...
Well, that's Danish.
That's Danish? Okay.
That's the capital of Denmark.
Okay, so it's probably Danish, then. So I guess...
Yeah.
So I guess Bugenhagen's from the Netherlands, then.
Which means he would
Denmark.
be...
The Netherlands is Dutch.
Oh, that's Dutch, right. So...
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. He's fallen man, and then like Cosmo Canyon being the Valley of the Fallen Star. I laughed at you a little bit, and I take it back. I'm so sorry that I gave a little bit of a chuckle when you said that, and now I'm like, dang, he might be onto something here. But yeah, like, so if he's the fallen, he's like Bugenhagen stands for fallen man, and then you were talking about how Cosmo Canyon is the Valley of the Fallen Star. That's pretty interesting. And then yeah,
That's all I need to know that I'm correct.
That I'm correct. Okay, we're done in the show.
I'm done. That's all I need to know that I'm correct.
I like that theory that Vinny shared with us. That's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think it should definitely be explored, and people should really do some research and theory crafting on just that alone.
I mean, dude, it's got some credibility to it for sure. So, Zack, TroubadorPoet, Zack, I know you had left a comment on one of our videos. I believe it was the like what we want to see in Remake Part 2 trailer or something. But you talked about Red 13 and Cosmo Canyon quite a bit. So you talked about I just kind of I'll set you up so that way you can knock it out of the park type thing. But do you want to talk about Denna or Denna?
Yeah, Denna.
Denna.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. She's definitely very important to Red 13 or Nanaki.
Yeah, and like, do you think they're going to explore that in Rebirth? Like, do you think? For me, I believe it's a yes. But what do you think?
I mean, I hope that they do. I mean, honestly, at this point, I think, if we're all just guessing here. I mean, who knows? But I mean, I'm hoping that they do because, I mean, how did Nanaki have two puppies? I mean,
For anybody who's, I'm so sorry, I just want to just for anybody who's like not sure who we're talking about, should we get a little context to who Denna is?
Sure.
Yeah, just go ahead and you go ahead and provide some context there, Zach.
Well, she appears in Before Crisis, and basically you get, a little bit of the context of how Red 13 came to be captured by Shinra. And it's a very fascinating story. Basically, they were going to go after Denna, and they were supposed to do the right for the appeasing of the planet. And, Red 13 didn't want to do the right because Denna was going to have to go and away and pray for 3 years afterwards, and he didn't want to be away from her. But he didn't realize that's what it was himself. And then basically the Turks come in because they're sent on a special mission to capture Red 13, or one of their kind at least, and they go after her. And then he realizes that if they take her, then he may never see her again. And so he fights against them, he loses, but then, asks them, can we at least do the right together to appease the planet? And then he says, if you allow us, I'll go quietly. And the Turks agree to allow him to do the right with Denna to appease the planet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like that's such a big thing. That's a big moment. I feel like it's absolutely going to be in Rebirth. In some way alluded to, or just in some way it'll be there to kind of provide some context on why he has kids, how he has kids. We've already seen that the compilation elements are being kind of woven into Remake. And yeah, I think it's definitely very important to Red, like you said. So yeah.
Also, with that moment, since Cosmo Canyon was where the founding leader of Avalanche, that's where the inception of Avalanche was. In Before Crisis, the Turks actually fight members of Avalanche at Cosmo Canyon. And since Avalanche seems to be getting fleshed out a little bit as well, it would help with Avalanche's backstory, because in Remake you get to see that Avalanche is more than just the little squad that we have in the beginning of the game. It's there's factions all over the place, and you actually get to see them in Remake. So that moment in Before Crisis where the Turks come in and they actually battle Avalanche to get to Denna. I forgot, how do you guys pronounce that? Denna?
Denna's ready, baby.
Denna's ready. Yeah, so that would also be, that would be pretty cool to see, maybe in a flashback, like Red explaining this. But also along with that story is that Denna actually saw Red 13 as a coward. He didn't want to do the right. He said he was afraid to do the right, and for that Denna called him a coward. And that kind of plays into Red 13's situation with his father, how he thought his father was a coward, and his father wasn't. And Red 13 isn't a coward either, but he proves himself, and he does what a coward would not do, and he gives himself up so that he could protect Denna. So I think those stories together come like full circle. Like Red 13 was called a coward, and he wasn't. So it's like father, like son. Seto, he thought Seto was a coward, and he comes to find out that he was not. So
yeah,
it would definitely be, in my opinion, very good storytelling if they kind of have that play into each other some way. I'm not a great storyteller, but I'm sure that they can blend those two things together.
Yeah.
Well said, Vinny.
Thank you.
And speaking of Seto, he held off the Gi tribe, and I think that's one thing that I would personally really love them to flesh out some more too, is the Gi tribe and why are they why were they attacking Cosmo Canyon? Let's get a little more of that story. I think we were talking beforehand, me and Vinny were talking beforehand about how Vinny would like to see an actual flashback of that battle rather than just Bugenhagen telling the story. When you get to the end, when the end of the cave before maybe going in or whatever, or when you see it and you have that emotional scene of, you know, the teardrop, and then maybe Bugenhagen can explain like your father wasn't a coward, and then like show a flashback, I guess in a similar way that they did for Intergrade, if you know the moment. I don't want to like spoil anything, but they do a little bit of a flashback to kind of show you what happened rather than just tell you what happened. Sometimes, you know, storytelling is very powerful when it's just words too. So whatever they can do to make that moment even more impactful. But yeah, so I would love them to kind of explain more of why Seto did what he did and how he did what he did, and then really just drive that home. But speaking of the Gi tribe, Zack, do you have any thoughts on the Gi tribe and like how they, how or why or anything? Any thoughts on how they can be fleshed out in Rebirth?
I mean, my first question would be: are they even around? Do they still even exist?
Right.
That'd be the first question.
We know that they're ghosts of the Gi tribe, right? Like we know that they're vengeful spirits that, you know, even the live stream couldn't take. So they're vengeful spirits, so they're just ghosts. Yeah, so but are there any more like living Gi tribe around is a good question. It's a really good question. And you know, one of the things that I would like to show here, and I'll bring up there it is. This is coming from Phantomire, off of Reddit. And it basically saying the tribal outfit in First Soldier has a striking resemblance to the Gi tribe artwork on the Mobius card. And yeah, absolutely it does. So basically we get our first look at what the Gi tribe wore in First Soldier. So I just kind of wanted to point that out there. If they're going to go as far as, you know, doing this for First Soldier, it kind of makes me think that Rebirth is going to have some Gi tribe. Maybe. So
that's a good argument.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some interesting stuff right there. And also, Vinny, we were talking about this earlier. Vinny, you want to kind of talk about the cave of the Gi? I don't want to like steal what you said, but go ahead.
Are we talking about the fluids?
Let's talk about let's talk about the fluids, Vinny.
Are we talking? Is that what you mean? The fluids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in you know, as you're descending into the cave of the Gi tribe, about halfway down, you start going down the ropes and everything. Everything kind of starts getting this green aura, and you know, green we know to be live stream. And then you start going through the rocks. The cave, and a lot of the rocks start having this green afterglow and everything. But also, there is this mystery red fluid that, through research, I mean, when I was younger, I was just like, oh, that's lava. But it doesn't. The more I thought about it, it doesn't really behave like lava. It's got ripples and everything in it. So I was thinking, like, you know, purple is Genova, green is the live stream, and one of my theories was that the Gi tribe, you know, as you said, they weren't taken by the live stream. I'm thinking that maybe, you know, that they tainted the live stream down here in their own way, which allows them to be these vengeful spirits. God
dang it!
Gatorade.
So if anybody sees me just laughing every now and then, it's because of chat. It's not because of what you're saying, Vinny. I swear.
Yeah, no, I saw it at the same time.
Yeah, Gatorade.
But
so, and the boss that we fight, his name is Natak, I believe, Gi Natak.
And yeah, that sounds right.
One of the things that I found through articles is that he shares a lot of similarities with a Final Fantasy VI boss named like Wolf 6, or can't remember his name. It's been a little while, but he is described as an amalgamation of vengeful spirits, which is very similar to what Gi Natak is. That he's not really just like one being, but I guess the amalgamation of all the vengeful spirits. And I don't really know what the limits. If they were able to taint the life stream, it just kind of makes me think like, I guess anybody can just go down there and just start tainting fluid if they wanted to. But
Dig it.
Oh wow.
but but so my theory was that they tainted the life stream down there, which is what caused the red coloration.
Yeah, if you get
but
like...
also what.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just saying, like, just because, like, the purple being the purplish black being Sephiroth, the geostigma or the black life stream, and then the white life stream I consider is the green, and so now you have the red. Is that going to be? Is it introducing that, or is this I think it was that Zack said, but we'll get back to it in a second.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say in in the green room before we
our green
went
room
live in the green room, you guys were like, oh, what if it's blood, and that would make this part of the game their third chance to have a very spooky, gory area with the Gi tribe, and this being filled with blood, and I think blood works better than my theory. It also adds to the creepy scariness factor.
Yeah.
If that is blood, because everywhere I've looked, I don't see anything defining what the fluid is.
No.
So
look at that. Look at that frothing. You know what I mean? Look at the blood cells.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
it
blood.
definitely doesn't look like lava to me.
No,
but,
you're right. Because in the game it just kind of ripples. It doesn't like pop or bubble or anything like that. Yeah.
Right. And this, the blood would make sense since there was basically a slaughter that happened here, but that is also a lot of blood.
Yeah, right.
Kind
So
of makes you think of The Shining.
Oh, yeah, like the pool of blood. Yeah.
with the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so okay, we have Artible saying it's food dye. It's just
yeah.
It's just red 13. Red 13. Red dye 13.
Red dye 13.
That's the ingredient.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly what it is.
All right, but yeah, those are some cool ideas there. Exploring what this like the cave of the Gi in general it opens up this opportunity for a lot of lore diving and like just fleshing out Red 13's character a lot more. And speaking of like fleshing out the character of Red or Nanaki, now I'm trying to find that what you wrote on the channel, Zack, because you did bring this up where Aerith. Is this the future that Red 13 sees when Aerith touched Red? His future memories were awakened. Perhaps that there were so many Red 13 has not had enough time to fathom and reflect about everything that he sees. Maybe throughout the game, Red travels with his companions. He could reveal some things that he remembers that have yet not come to pass. That is the most Nojima thing I've ever seen. I'm just kidding. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? So he could he's recalling something that hasn't happened yet. And he doesn't know how to wrestle with these memories, which opens up more opportunity for Red to have a story to tell. Besides this moment in Cosmo Canyon, throughout the game, he kind of has this. Is this what you're thinking, Zack? Are you thinking that?
You nailed it.
I mean, 100%. Of course I did, because this is exactly what you wrote. I read your quote.
Well, I mean, yeah. No, I mean, you got it right. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you do think that they're going to be kind of going along with this throughout the whole game? Like, maybe this is Red, being able to have more of a story to tell?
I definitely think so. I mean, he definitely deserves. I mean, in Advent Children, he only said like one line. That was. I mean, and then if you
Yeah,
notice in remake, in the end, Red speaks less and less. I mean, I guess maybe he's contemplating all these thoughts now that he has, but
yeah.
I mean, he definitely needs more of a role, and that's the whole reason for the fan fiction that I'm writing, for including the Nanaki clones, Cobalt 14, Indigo 15, to have them constantly be in a theme, constantly harassing the party, going after Red 13 himself. And then they could even include Denna further, potentially, maybe them potentially going after her, and then forcing Red 13 to have to, go and defend his companion.
Yeah, like give him some antagonists to deal with. I would like to see that, like, if they are there, that would be cool to have them come into the Cave of the Gi, like, just to kind of have him be the playable character. I saw this actually. Baby Seal posted it on Twitter. Like, he tweeted about it, and he was like, "Man, I really hope that they explore that in Cosmo Canyon," which was a interview where one of the developers said, "Yeah, we wanted to make sure every character had their own solo mission, like that you play as that character at least." And you did. You got to play as the character at least once throughout the throughout remake. So do we get to play as Red 13, and maybe make it the Cave of the Gi his thing? And I mean, like, in the original game, like, Cloud is there, and Bugenhagen even says, like, he's like, "Thank you, Cloud, for being here. We surely would have, died if it wasn't for you. And you too, Nanaki, you've grown strong." But it could be, like, even more impactful if Nanaki is the leader of that rather than Cloud. Like, so if Red is bringing the party along and he's the leader and you play as him, that could be interesting. But yeah, so that was one thing I want to do. I don't even know where I was going with that train of thought, but I just kind of wanted to say it. That you get to play as him, and that was from Baby Seal on Twitter. He was like, I wonder if they'll do the same for Rebirth, where you get to play as these characters. So speaking of like Aerith, God, I don't know how to phrase that. I should have said this differently. Injecting memory. I was going to say, speaking of Aerith touching people, but that didn't sound right.
There's a dark corner of the web where what that is
Aerith
all over the
touching
place.
People.
Yep.
Maybe her name's Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. Oh, Sweet Caroline. Ba, bum, ba. All right, you can't just say Sweet Caroline and not sing it. Like, you have to do it. You can't just say it. Everybody in chat, everybody watching it right now, don't even deny it. It went through your head. You sang it to yourself. But anyway, so with Aerith, like, giving these memories. Now, here's one thing that I kind of wanted to explore. It's about Cosmo Canyon. It's not really about Red, but it is about Cosmo Canyon and Bugenhagen. Now, earlier I read about, like, how Bugenhagen explains what the cries of the planet are to Cloud. In Remake, Aerith explains that to him. So he'll know that by the time you get to Cosmo Canyon. And then Bugenhagen also explains pretty much everything that Aerith says on at the end of the expressway. Like, it almost like that was what Bugenhagen explains to Cloud. Basically saying how, like, the cries of the planet is dying and all this other stuff. And then even if you stop Sephiroth, but this is different. Okay, so he goes, listen, Cloud says they're trying to save the planet. Honestly, I don't think it can be done. For even if they stop every reactor on the planet, it's only going to postpone the inevitable. Even if they stop Sephiroth, everything will perish. The planet is nearing imminent death, but this is perhaps what the planet wanted? Question mark? Did the planet actually want it to end like this? Is something, it echoes what Aerith says in a way, where she's like, there's no way that this is what the planet wants. So kind of that also has me thinking about the planet being not on the same page as what the the main characters are hoping for. So I don't know if it'll end up being like that or not, but both of them seem to have some doubts that, is this what the planet wants? Seems weird. But anyways, Aerith also says when either sitting around the bonfire or at some point in Cosmo Canyon, she goes off on her own she's like, maybe I'll learn something. And then she comes back and she says that she, gosh, where did I put it in my notes? But I can't quote what she says. Yeah, I can. Here we go. Maybe there are people here that know about the Promised Land and the Ancients, is what she says. And then she comes back to the party later on, and she says that I learned so much and then like she said, I feel so alone that I'm the only Cetra and stuff like that. These are things that she already knows in Remake, right? Like, she already knows about all this, and she says she learned so much at Cosmo Canyon. It's almost as if Aerith is recalling that memory when she's standing at the end of the expressway telling the party about everything and she's just recalling the memory of what she learned at Cosmo Canyon, right?
Well, can I ask this question then? So in Trace of Two Paths, when Aerith is telling her story, didn't she mention that Ifalna was always there with her, like talking to her and helping guide her? I mean, I'm kind of wondering if Ifalna might also play a bigger role as well, potentially as a spirit to Aerith.
Yeah, look, that
maybe even her father, Professor Gast, because I assumed that both of them are together in the live stream now.
That's true. Yeah, like, I mean, Falna probably on a more powerful level in a way that she can actually. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but I assume that if you're a Cetra, you can kind of like you can kind of keep your essence in the live stream in a way, in a sense, because if that's what Aerith did to make sure that she's able to stop Sephiroth in the live stream black and live stream white. Now, so maybe Afalna has that rather than dissolving into the live stream and becoming one with it. Afalna has been able to communicate with Aerith a little bit more, which kind of makes me think that she would already have known this stuff that she says she learned at the Cosmo Canyon, but.
Or perhaps Falna didn't want to tell her everything because maybe it was too much for Aerith to shoulder.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Baby Seal
She
brings
loses
up
her. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Baby Seal brings up in chat. He said she loses her ability to talk to Ifalna as she ages. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Cool. Yeah. So like, maybe she didn't learn that part, I guess, at some point, but the point is that it kind of further supports the idea that like she is either the Aerith from the original timeline, or Aerith was able to put her memories in this Aerith from the original, you know what I mean, like in this new remake Aerith. Whatever, though, it sounds like she has memories of the future. So
somebody needs to make the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other, but they're all Aerith pointing at each other.
that would definitely work for Sephiroth, seeing how there's like multiple Sephiroths. They all just kind of run into each other. They're like, what? But no, that's so if she touches Red, did she give Red, and I guess even Marlene, did she give them their memories of the future, or did she just kind of give them a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, she obviously, I mean, just the reason why I went off on that tangent is just because, like, it obviously supports it even more, and I don't think I've heard it said.
When you just mentioned that, Daniel, actually, I have another fanfic I started and I never finished. It was called A New Future, and basically it's about Denzel and Marlene when they're older, and how they go off and they have their own adventure, and how Marlene is still like feeling Aerith's essence.
Because she's a Cetra.
And I never finished it. I never finished it though. But basically, cool. I mean, I'm still trying to get the inspiration to write more. But I'm actually thinking about maybe tying that into like them going back into remake, and then kind of tying that into there as well at some point. I haven't got the ideas yet, but I was thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's awesome. I like that, because I mean, I think Marlene is a Cetra. I mean, we can kind of put those pieces together. Even at the end of the original game, it just feels like
Dyne
Marlene
would be a Cetra too, right?
I guess though, yeah, that would make Dyne or
Eleanor.
yeah, either
One of them
would have to have the gene, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like that would be it's very interesting. And with at the end of Remake, which I'm assuming everybody's played that, so at the end of Remake being that it looks like we're going to spend a little more time with Marlene if we're going to see Biggs and we're going to explore what's going on with him. I'm sure Marlene's going to be there, right? And just kind of having a little bit more with Marlene would be actually pretty cool. I loved the actress. She did such a phenomenal job. And like whenever Barrett and Marlene, those emotional heartstring pulls and stuff, it's just, I'd love to see more Marlene. That'd be awesome.
I was actually hoping in the remake that they would have actually had like maybe just a little small section where you could play as Marlene. Nothing serious, but like maybe her and Betty going on a little mini adventure where they're kind of maybe instead of that cat quest, have Marlene actually do it with Betty, and they actually go here and there and kind of get to see his little kid, see it from the point of a little kid.
Oh yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. Yeah.
and then kind of get more information about Marlene and Betty. Had to see their friendship interaction because Betty actually says that she's friends with Marlene. It'd be nice to kind of get some more of that. I know how you guys had said in a previous video how you said more of that downtime when the characters are just interacting with each other.
That
hits us so hard.
Definitely, man. Like just like the party just walking to calm is just it's just the moments like that I love. And I'm watching amazing. Yeah, it's what and like I said, campfires in one of my videos would be cool outside. And speaking like the party sitting around like a campfire, like in Final Fantasy 15 or whatever. Maybe save points or tents that you use would be a great opportunity for the party to just kind of like Final Fantasy 15. Just draw that's it. That's the example, right? Where the party is just chilling, talking, hanging out. That brotherhood or that bond between friends is really cool. But yeah, speaking of bonfires, Cosmo Canyon has one, and it's pretty important. It's like an eternal flame, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, and this
flame can never go out.
Big things happen here. Big things happen. Like it's very important around the bonfire. So this is almost like a I guess it's a point in everyone's character arc where they just sit around and they're like, they have to find that reason to go on type thing. Like they're all like the bonfire is going to be a really great moment. Do you have any thoughts on that, Zach? The bonfire moment?
I think that could potentially be a spot where Red reflects about his capture.
Perfect. And Denna. Yeah, like that would be a perfect opportunity. Yeah.
And then basically explain how him and Denna are the last of their kind, and how Red, show him kind of get a little emotional about it, and and then talk about I guess his father, and then maybe even like you said earlier, like put that flashback of the Gi tribe attacking from what what he remembers or what his Bugenhagen had told him about. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's a perfect spot to do that. Yeah. So, Vinny, do you have any thoughts on that part?
Well, just the Cosmo candle in general.
Yeah.
So, Red 13's character model has his tail is on fire, and we know this from Remake because he singes Barrett with the tip of his tail.
Yeah.
And so a theory that I've had is that the Cosmo Canyon itself, the Cosmo Candle itself, has something to do with Red 13's species, his species origin, maybe something to kind of like Charmander. If his tail ever goes out, he's done for. Maybe if the Cosmo Candle goes out, something Red 13 species will be, wiped out, annihilated, or what have you. But I think it would be cool to have more information given to us about the Cosmo Candle, and then how it relates to Red 13's species, since his tail is on fire, and the Cosmo Candle is the focus point. It's the centerpiece of Cosmo Canyon. Tifa even has a a drink named after the Cosmo Candle at her bar. And fun fact, there's a vegan candle named the Cosmo Candle that you could buy on Amazon.
Oh.
But yeah. And it's inspired by Final Fantasy VII's Cosmo Candle.
Oh,
but,
so it's not just like a random off-brand.
Nope.
Literally, okay, that's good.
But yeah, I want to see the correlation between the Cosmo Candle and Red 13's species, if there is any at all. But again, just more information about Cosmo Canyon in general will just be great, since it was such a short but meaningful part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just kind of like scrolling through, of course, big, shout out, of course, to finalfantasy.fandom.com, where you can just find the whole script of Final Fantasy VII on here. So I'm just like looking at Bugenhagen's like quotes and stuff like that. And I know that there was one that I wanted to shout out here on the show, but I can't think of it now. But once I find it, I'll let you know. But yeah, that's some really interesting thoughts on the Cosmo Candle, man. Like, it obviously feels like it has so much lore implications to it that it should be explored a little bit. And this is how you can really flesh out Cosmo Canyon as a chapter in the game. And when I was talking about this video that I'm writing for right now is I'm like predicting all of the chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm predicting them and like how they'll go, maybe like missions and stuff. But I made Cosmo Canyon like a side quest hub, so like to really give you all the chance to really explore this place that is so important to Final Fantasy VII in general. Like making that a side quest hub, like this would be
like a headquarters.
Yeah, like a headquarters type thing where you can go accept side quests and stuff like that, like the Sector 5 Undercity and stuff like that. To go talk to the citizens and stuff.
What you're saying about expanding Cosmo Canyon, I mean, they could also look at what is it economically that Cosmo Canyon does? Is it touristy now? I mean, what is it? I mean, what do the townspeople there do? I mean, I mean, and plus, they're always introducing new characters. We got Roche, we got a lot of new NPCs. They could introduce some new characters and things that are traded from Cosmo Canyon to Midgar to Calm to other, because there's that there's that other kind of economic trade that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I say the next thing, I do want to say thank you so much to Cordial for those subs and gifted subs. That's really cool. Thank you so much. And everybody else that has followed today, thank you. It's awesome. I hope you're enjoying it. Speculate with us. And now I know Captain Cosmic, love the name, Captain Cosmic says, do you think we'll see other members of Avalanche there, which is it's a great question, because this is the birthplace of Avalanche. So if there's a chance to dive into Avalanche a little bit more, I think this could be a good place to do it. Now in Remake, Avalanche is very much a thing. In the original, I got the sense that Barrett was the last member of Avalanche. He even says it in at Cosmo Canyon, at the Cosmo Canyon Candle. He says. He's like, well, I don't know what's next. With Avalanche gone, everybody's, there's no more Avalanche. What to do now, type thing. But there's plenty of Avalanche members left. So in Remake's timeline. So if there's a chance to explore Avalanche a little bit more, this could be a great place for them to maybe have a secret headquarters. Maybe this is their headquarters. Like maybe this is where they're posted up.
Barrett can meet the founder.
What's up?
I was just going to share with you that when you were just talking about Avalanche, in one of my fan fictions, Biggs and Wedge's Mission, basically I go into about about other cells in Midgar of Avalanche. And one of their missions is when Wedge got captured that night by Shinra, and then the Avalanche branch come in and rescued him. They wanted to know what Aerith's Splinter Cell was doing. So basically, the premise of this fan fiction I wrote is that they basically sent a letter to Barrett that they want to meet up and they want to discuss the future of what his cell is doing. And Barrett, of course, is really hard-headed. I'm not going. We broke off from you guys. We're not part of you. And Biggs and Wedge kind of feel this allegiance to Avalanche, and so they kind of feel like that they have to go. And then Tifa kind of talks Cloud into accompanying them to Sector 4, which is a sector that was not explored in the remake. And they basically take a mission and they go travel to Sector 4 to go meet up with a cell with one of the higher ups in the main Avalanche branch to discuss what.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you. I was just like, that's a good idea.
Well, I mean, no, I'm just saying that's basically the premise of that one fan fiction, Biggs and Wedge's mission. And then also there's also in that fan fiction, it's also about Tifa and Barrett. They find out from Marl that Shinra is coming down to collect taxes from the businesses, and they don't have the funds, and they're like freaking out. They don't know what to do. And then Marlene says her and Betty have put flyers out to advertise Tifa's famous drinks, the food. And so basically, in that part of the fan fiction, Tifa's making drinks, Barrett's cooking, and Jesse's trying to hobble around to be a waitress. Marl actually volunteers to help, and it gets. And then later on, they end up recruiting Johnny, and that's a disaster.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Barrett's like constantly yelling at Johnny because he's screwing up orders and stuff.
That would be fun to write, man. That would be fun to write. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's all in that fan fiction, so if you check it out, you might enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had fun writing it.
Yeah, and that's on that fanfiction.com/ one more time.
Yeah, it's fanfiction.com, author Minstrel of May.
Minstrel of May. There you go. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds fun to read. I'm sure it was fun to write. I love that. So, like, being able to have, once again, the downtime, right? Like, that talking between the characters is such an important thing. The Cosmo Canyon, the Cosmo Candle provides that for sure. Yeah, so, Vinny, you have any more thoughts on that, man? Any more thoughts on Cosmo Canyon and this in general, and what we might see in Rebirth?
Sure,
maybe Avalanche, throw it down, Vinny. Give it to me, baby. I'm ready.
All right. So I guess I'll try and do this in a organic fashion.
Okay.
So there are two other elders in Cosmo Canyon. There's Elder Hargo and Elder, I think you pronounce it Bughe.
Bugha.
Or Bughe, maybe. It's Bughe. So
Bughe.
having those guys in Rebirth as characters that are fleshed out, they give you quests, they're there, they tell you some stuff about Bugenhagen and the Cosmo Candle. Just having those guys there, really getting to know the people of Cosmo Canyon would be nice to have in Rebirth, I would say. So that aside, there is some this is more, I guess, unused stuff about Cosmo Canyon. So in the battle square at the Gold Saucer, on the TV screens, the TV screens flash through some stuff. I actually sent it to you on Messenger, the image of
sweet.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be blurry or not, but if you type in Cosmo Canyon concept art, you'll find it.
Oh, that's cool.
But
all right.
Essentially at the Golden Saucer, you see these TV screens of different locations and everything, and one of those is actually the concept art of what Cosmo Canyon was supposed to look like, which is kind of like there's like a brick archway with a path leading to this gigantic tree. Like, it looks like a dead tree. There's no leaves on it or anything, and that is where Bugenhagen built the observatory on top of the tree in Cosmo Canyon, which obviously from that picture you can tell it looks completely different now. But just that tree, that implication of having vegetation there at Cosmo Canyon. Cosmo Canyon maybe was once a lush and full of vegetation geographical location, but something was sapping the Mako energy, and again that can go back to Valley of the Fallen Star. Whatever fell there might have been sapping the life force from the area. But also, and this was what I found to be most interesting, and I'm actually curious to see how Baby Seal. I'm sure he actually probably already knows about this because he's a much smarter guy than I am. But in Cosmo Canyon, there was actually a scripted boss fight with Jenova in Cosmo Canyon. So I think it would be cool if Rebirth actually picks that back up and goes to use that, because I think having a boss fight there with Jenova would also lean into the Valley of the Fallen Star and everything. More Jenova is good for me always.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, when you was talking about that tree, you made me think of Final Fantasy IX, where they go to that village that's up in the high tree, where they had that harp there when they were defending from Kuja, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of evoked.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like when you say, like, I mean, this is, for me, I'm starting to like put pieces together that maybe the Valley of the Fallen Star was the name that they had in like production stage, and they were just like, yeah, we'll call it the Valley of the Fallen Star, and then this being the valley that we're seeing on screen, what the concept art, and then that concept art kind of got lost, and it showed up in the game. But and then when you say Valley of the Fallen Star, I wonder if Jenova was originally supposed to have fallen here at Cosmo Canyon, which was the Valley of the Fallen Star, and then that's what corrupted this tree-looking thing. And then, but anyways, that's just kind of me putting pieces together. But yeah, some very good points that you're making. And like having
Jenova fight in Cosmo Canyon would be awesome.
I mean, what better? What better place too, with a place that is so heavily involved in space and like space exploration, planets, stars, shooting stars, and everything like that. And you have, the moon. Let's go to the moon again. Let's go. Let's go to the moon. That's what Final Fantasy VII was missing. It was missing the moon.
Final Fantasy IV went to the moon. That was interesting.
Yeah, let's go back to the moon. Final Fantasy VIII went to the moon, or had moon things. Let's go to the moon. but yeah, like this is really good things that you're bringing up here, Vinny. I love it. I love that. So being able to fight with Jenova there would be cool.
Well, just anytime I find unused things from this game, it always just sparks like, why wasn't that used? Because that's so cool. Like who was the creative mind that was just like, nah, let's not put Jenova there. There's so many things about this game that never happened in the original that is scripted to happen. And when I find stuff like this, like Jenova, there was supposed to be a boss fight with Jenova in Cosmo Canyon. Like where were they going with that, with the story? Like what else would that have changed? Because you would probably see Sephiroth there too. What was Sephiroth's goal? Like, was he gonna try and corrupt the Cosmo Candle? Does the Cosmo Candle have some type of power that nobody's harnessing? Why doesn't the flame go out? Why is it an eternal flame? Just all these things that just I
I was going to say, to your point, Genova being in Cosmo Canyon, and in the original game, Red 13 wasn't. He was just going to go home, and that was going to be the end of his journey. And I think that putting Genova in it would definitely cement his his decision to travel with the party, for sure.
Yeah.
He sees, we have a threat. I have to go represent my people, and I have to help.
Yeah,
And
he's
then,
all
of
about
course-
protecting them. Yeah.
And of course, if they put Denna in it now, I mean, he's got his love interest, his companion that he has to protect, and especially that now that he knows that he's going to be a father. I mean, in the future, I mean that adds stakes even higher for him.
True.
And honestly, I would like to also see something more about his mother. I mean, they said that she died earlier. They also find out who was Red 13's mother.
Yeah, and she knew that Seto wasn't like what Seto did. Like she knew about all of that, and I'm kind of curious. Like, she must have died shortly after that, or what? Because she didn't tell Nanaki that, which is kind of interesting. Why would she just let Nanaki go on believing that his father was a coward? So I don't know how she died or the circumstances of her death. So that would be interesting to kind of like go through that, explore that, and I'm trying to find something. I had something I wanted to say, I lost it, but it's okay. But yeah, that would be interesting stuff to explore. His mom, which was unnamed mom. Yeah, man, I feel like we've really talked about everything about Cosmo Canyon, haven't we?
That's my favorite punk band, Unnamed Mom.
An unnamed mom. Get Fuzz Pixels back on the show, man.
Yeah, right.
Let's go. Chat, what's up, everybody? If you have any thoughts on Cosmo Canyon, let's hear them. I want to let's spotlight you guys for a bit. I guess I should look this way. So hey, there's chat. But yeah, so if you have any thoughts on Cosmo Canyon, Red 13, let us know. We're gonna start to kind of close the show out, so stick with us, and I want to spotlight your thoughts and stuff like that. So fire away. Zach, how about you, man? So have we talked about everything that we could possibly talk about? I feel like have we talked
As far
about
as Cosmo Canyon goes, I mean, we pretty much, we pretty much just focused on that.
We did.
I mean, we probably have hours worth we could go back and forth about.
Yeah, I mean, you know what though? Let's I do want to spotlight or amplify your voice on big topics. So if you don't mind, I'd love to just get your thoughts. Now, we've been vocal on the show. You even know that. You've heard us talking about what we think of these topics. So I'm giving you the mic, or I'm passing you the mic, or whatever you want to say, but this is the floor is yours. While chat kind of, if you have any thoughts on Cosmo Canyon, go ahead and we'll circle back to it. But for now, I want to get your thoughts, Zach, on big topics such as your namesake, Zach. I want to get your thoughts on these big topics. You guys know them. You know what they are. Let's start with that. Let's start with Zack. I want to know where you think Zack is going. Like, what is this? What is the purpose of having Zack and his whatever this is? Whether he's alive, whether he's in the live stream, whether he's an alternate timeline or whatever. What do you think the purpose is? Where is he? All that other stuff. Everything regarding Zack. If you can give me that right now.
Okay, wow, pressure's on.
It's a big one. It's a big one. It's a big one.
Well, I mean, I guess there's a lot of factors to consider. I mean, there's some people who believe in the singularity. That's pretty big in the community. Me, I'm with the minority that I believe I'm more of the multiple timelines. I think that Zack is definitely in another timeline, and I definitely think that there's definitely outside influences, and potentially thinking Minerva might be a force for good, and potentially I think she could potentially be with Sephiroth having all this power, there has to be a balance. Now Genesis is probably going to come back, I'm sure. So now Zack is definitely going to kind of be like that balance of power, so to speak. And I actually potentially even see Angeal coming back as well.
Because of the white feather?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
from the trailer.
I think he's kind of watching from the shadows for now, or he's not from the shadows, from the light, so to speak.
Yeah. He went up to heaven. Everybody else goes to the live stream, and Gio goes to heaven.
Yeah, it's just kind of an interesting dichotomy they got going on there.
Yeah, that is to think that maybe Angeal is going to be part of that if he's in an alternate timeline, or did you say alternate timeline or alternate universe?
Alternate timeline. I think the timelines are going to weave because because you could see kind of like I don't know how
like the live stream, baby. It just weaves in.
Well, that's a very good point. That is an extremely good point, actually. And
you can say, hey, I'm thinking about it, but I'm gonna let you, I'm just like, I'm giving thought. I'm like, I thought about it as a joke, but now I'm like, yeah.
And what we talked about before the chat, you know, this whole redemption thing. I'm thinking that potentially, you know, the only way to really truly stop Sephiroth is to bring his humanity back to him. Is to make him realize who he is, really. And that would be uncovering his past, letting him remember who he really was, and find out who his father is, find out who his mother is, and really find his humanity, and get him to completely reject Jenova.
Yeah. That's, I mean, and like this is what we were talking about in the green room when we were talking about redemptions and stuff, and I was like, don't say the word, but yeah, like talking about that, it's, and I said, I was like, it does make sense in a way. Like, you think about, how does this end? Like, how does it end if Zack, or if Sephiroth will never be dead, truly gone, as long as Cloud is there? How does it end? And it's like, well, either Sephiroth gets a redemption, or Cloud dies, or how do you truly kill Sephiroth? How do you truly get rid of the Jenova through the live stream and everything? So it's something that I'm trying to mentally prepare for, because I'm super against it, but I'm not gonna like say you're wrong or anybody's wrong about it. I'm just like trying to wrap my mind around it and get myself in the frame that it could lead to a Sephiroth redemption. But yeah, so some very good points. You bring up Minerva as well. Minerva, I actually am on the opposite side. And I don't know how many other people are, because I don't really, watch these theory videos as much as I would like. But
I think I'm probably among the minority, to be honest with you. From everything that I see out there, a lot of people, I think it kind of goes back to when they had Remake, and expecting exactly that, a remake. And I was actually in part of that camp as well. But it took me some time to get over the shock of the ending. And then, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is kind of cool. I like not knowing what's going to happen now. And, and the more I thought about it, and the more of the possibilities, I started reading other fan fictions. And trust me, there's thousands of Final Fantasy VII fan fictions out there. Mm-hmm. And there are some exquisite writers out there who just write the most awesome narratives. And I was just like, you know what? Maybe we should be open to this possibility.
Yeah. I gotta jump over to chat real quick, where Captain Cosmic said, I personally believe you have to beat Sephiroth off the planet. And then I got to thinking, at the end of Remake, you got to thinking about beating Sephiroth off. I got to beat off the planet. Yes. Oh man. I'm just I don't know what to do with these thoughts. I want them out.
don't type in those words in Google, or else your algorithm is going to be screwed.
Yeah, so Captain Cosmic set me up for that one. All right. So it wasn't me. That was all right. So he said that way he can't absorb into the live stream and come back. It got me to thinking, like, Edge of Creation, you're off planet. What if Cloud kills him there? I mean, like, what if it's 7 seconds to the end, and like Cloud's like, you're darn right it is, and then just kills him like 7 seconds later, and then there goes Cloud, or I mean Sephiroth. He can't absorb into the live stream. He's off of the planet. He's in a different place.
If Cloud's alive, because Cloud melded with the live stream as well, so wouldn't that mean like there's a there's a little bit of Sephiroth inside of Cloud.
There's a little bit of Sephiroth inside of Cloud. You know what I'm saying? Sephiroth is like, that's why he smiles so much throughout the game. He's just like, I'm already there. I'm already there.
Can I ask you this question now? Okay, so we're talking about Cloud Sephiroth, and I definitely think that Genesis is probably going to be the antagonist of Part 2. That's my thoughts. But another point when you just keep bringing Cloud in that we haven't spoke about yet is who Cloud's father was. I know that it mentions him, but I was thinking, what if Cloud's father is still alive, and what if Cloud's father was an unnamed soldier, and what if Cloud's father is watching from the shadows? And then what if they have a scene where it's revealed Cloud's father is still alive, and then Cloud encounters his father, the emotions that will come out of Cloud, and then his mother, and then more like of Cloud being a child, interactions with his mom, the kind of like the heartwarming stuff that you see mother and son, and then all like this anger, like why did you abandon us? I think that would be very powerful.
It would be like I'm good with it as long as they don't like make him like a Cetra or something, and like Cloud is a Cetra all of a sudden.
No, he's not a Cetra.
Yeah.
It's more like human relatable stuff. Like there's I got friends who had their parents abandon them as kids, and these kind of emotions are very relatable. And to see Cloud, like, since he didn't grow up with his father, to find him now, why now? Why did you abandon me and mom?
Yeah, I mean
it's really bring the emotions out there, and then like Tifa has to come and calm him down, and like, it's like it draws Tifa and Cloud even closer, even. And if Aerith's there, then Aerith kind of like more of like an outer force, but I could see like Tifa like just like bringing. I'm not trying to bring a ship war or anything, between Tifa and Cloud. But I'm just saying, but since they grew up together, Tifa would definitely understand this emotion Cloud is feeling.
Yeah, that's very. I mean, that is very interesting. At what point did his dad die, or go away, or at what point did they live in Nibelheim with just his mom for a while, so Tifa wouldn't even know who the person would be, who his dad is. It's interesting to think about that. And now, if there's a way for them to write that into the story, like as you're saying, that ties into him. His self-discovery, or like a theme of whatever they're going for Cloud, and like really have a purpose for this. I really, I'm kind of the mind that I don't really mind not knowing who his dad is. And then if they bring his dad in, I'm just afraid that it's somebody important, and I don't want it to be like Cloud is as strong as he is and was able to withstand all of the Genova cells and withstand all of this stuff because his dad is a Cetra, or his dad was a superhuman or something like that. And it's just like, I don't like that idea, but I love what you're talking about, Zach, where it's more of like whatever it is that can bring out Zach's character, those downtime moments, those getting to, or I'm sorry, did I say Zach? I'm sorry, Cloud. To bring out his character and everything, that's awesome. As long as they don't make it so his dad is somebody super important, I think I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say. I would say an unnamed soldier. Was like to kind of make a life for himself, and he's not like this super character, but like you said, you got like Part 2 is supposed to be like the Empire Strikes Back kind of thing, where it's kind of a low point.
Yeah, that's what I would love. Yeah,
and bringing out these kind of emotions would definitely be highly unsettling for the party, especially for Cloud, and I mean, and it would make Cloud really have to reflect. And now, since his mother's no longer around, Cloud's forced to deal with, the loss of his mother even more now. It's brought forefront now, and his father, and because he was I think he was maybe 2 years old when his father left, and without a father figure, and I mean, just kind of more of abandonment issues.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I like where you're going with this. I just kind of got to thinking as you were talking about. That I was just thinking about how they could flesh that story out, and if they do that, you get to know at least get to know his mom a little bit more. God, man, when the Nibelheim incident happens, and in the original game, it just shows the static image with the fire, the flames, and he just runs in the building and runs back out or something like that. But in the game, like in Remake, I hope that you play that section, like, and you have to go in there looking for. They kind of show a little bit of it when he's crawling in Remake, and he's reaching out at the house, and he's calling out for his mom, and then Sephiroth's like saying how he killed her and everything. That would be so impactful if you get to play. I mean, you should, right? You get to experience that.
Absolutely.
That would be cool.
I mean, you know, it's really relatable to the human experience, because, you know, how would any of us feel if, like, someone had just killed one of our parents? We would want revenge.
Right.
We would want absolute revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Anger, the anguish you would feel and stuff. You know, they need to, like, amplify that and, like, really. I mean, and since Cloud is basically, you know, going to get in the low point in part 2, I mean, I think it would be a point to really bring out that stuff for Cloud.
Agreed.
So, touching on what you guys are saying about Cloud's father, so they kind of already did write that story. That's basically the concept of Final Fantasy X with Tidus and his father, and you know, that lends more to, you know, I'm in the camp that Tidus is, or Cloud is the reincarnation of Tidus, and Sephiroth is the reincarnation of Seymour.
There it is. Vinny's dropping the bomb.
You know,
Vinny's dropping a bomb.
That's interesting.
Tidus goes through the same exact thing. Tidus's mother dies because his father is nowhere to be found. He leaves. You know, Tidus hates his father, and then he gets to meet his father, and you know, and we have Bam255 on YouTube saying that Cloud's father was actually a traveler. I'm not sure where the source is for that, but I think I remember reading that too, that Cloud's father was like a traveler or backpacker. I don't know exactly what his like profession was, but I think he was like a earthly scholar, like, you know, just studying life, kind of like how in
he's the calm traveler.
I was just gonna say the old dude from Final Fantasy X that, you know, just keeps interrupting you, and he's just like, you know, he's a 75-year-old student.
He's the Chocobo Sage.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
we also have Captain Cosmic says that he loves the theory that President Shinra is Cloud's father. Cloud and Rufus look very similar, and it's known that President Shinra had secret children. And also, Shinra Mansion just so happens to be in Nibelheim.
It does make a lot of sense in that way, that President Shinra he's the bastard son of President Shinra.
Also, then you have Lazard, and you also have Evan. So he's got, like, that would make them his brothers as well. Yep.
They're all related. So interesting. Like, it could, like you said, though, could be this or somebody from chat. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. That said it was just a random traveler. You know what I mean? Just a random traveler, and was like, "You're a fine wife, you know, no, a fine girl. What a good wife you would be," and then just left. You know, and like,
right.
But his love, you know, the lady and everything like that. That's whatever that song says. You know, that's him. He's Kurt Russell. That's who he is.
You're talking about Looking Glass you're talking about the band Looking Glass?
Brandy, you're a fine girl. I was trying to say it without singing it, but there it is. I can't say it.
No, you gotta sing. You have to sing it.
What a good wife you would be. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he had to go, man. That's not who it was. It's Kurt Russell, all right? That's who he is. He's ego. But anyway, so here's another hard-hitting question for you, Troubadour Poet. Zack, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go, man. Aerith. That's all I gotta say. It's really all I gotta say. Aerith.
What is my thought on Aerith?
What is the thoughts? Now, here's the thing, everybody. If you're tuning in and you haven't played the original, which I understand, I get that. You know, maybe I don't know why you're watching this video, but if you haven't, it's just spoilers, obviously. But Aerith, Zack. What's your thoughts on that? What do you think?
On her fate and her role in the game?
I don't like saying fate
Oh no.
Every time I'm writing it out, like Aerith's fate, and I'm like, that implies that she was meant to die or something, and I don't want that.
No, it's all good. I mean, I get what you're saying.
It's not her destiny. But
Well,
go
now
ahead.
that destiny has been destroyed,
That's
or
true.
at least has been eradicated. Like I said, I fall in the minority camp that I honestly would like to see her live. I mean, I would. I mean, I think there's a lot of darkness in the world right now, personally, and I would like to see some more light, some more happiness. And I get that the original game was a dark, and I get the crux of that game, and that yes, it was about loss, but now, I mean, we're moving on to a new chapter. You know, perhaps Zack he's on he's being brought back by unknown forces. You know, to I guess maybe change some things and meet up with Aerith again. I mean, because if you play Crisis Core, you could see that they definitely had something for each other. And
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
and honestly, I guess I could say this, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of people angry at me for saying it though, but I had this idea of like future in one of my fan fictions of Aerith and Zack going away to Gungaga to live like the Cetra, and they have like 4 or 5 children, and it shows them into the future, and Aerith's like this very wonderful maternal figure, and Zack's this manly, patriarchal guy who's like raising his family and becoming a farmer, and kind of like they want to live the peaceful life and be happy, and and Zack and Tifa are kind of like an edge, and they started their family and that kind of thing. I don't know. That's just kind of my head vision, and like I said, I'm a minority, so.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's fair to say it doesn't matter. Like we don't want to dive into shipping, but like it doesn't matter who you ship. There was the feelings between the two, and it would be very interesting to see how they explore that, because it seems like Aerith has obviously, especially if she is the future Aerith, and all that other stuff, she's gonna have those memories and feelings for Cloud, just as like she's gonna have her own little love triangle there. You know what I mean? So there'll be plenty of that stuff, right?
I kind of feel like she fell in love with Cloud in a sense that Cloud was trying to be Zack, and I think at that time in the original game she didn't realize. I don't think she realized that, but she saw a lot of Zack in Cloud, and I think that's probably what kind of drew her to Cloud. That's just my idea.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's the shipping
and
is
I'm not right. I'm not. Everybody has their opinion, and I'm with all the thing, and I know a lot of other people. They want to see her die. They want to see Zack die, and and kind of like keep it to the original game. But I just kind of feel like this is a new story, and I'd like to see it go to a different place. And
so that's interesting, because I agree with you on the thought that this is new, and if we're going off of what we think the theories, if they're correct and everything like that, like we're remaking the timeline, we're going to solve by the end of part 3 every story arc, and everything's going to be at a satisfying conclusion, where the original left it ambiguous, and it just seems like, and with in the original, the way that game ended was actually pretty bad, because Geostigma's still out there, and they had to deal with that. They had to deal with this. Cloud still needs to find his acceptance and forgiveness and everything like that, whereas I think at the end of part 3, every storyline that's ever been from Compilation is going to be resolved.
Before Crisis, all the way to after Dirge of Cerberus present game.
Yeah, even Dirge of Cerberus, so all of that will be resolved as well. Like that's why they brought in Vice, that's why they brought in Nero, and I'm sure Crimson and everybody else is going to be coming in soon. In which I say, what's up?
I'm hoping they also bring in Argento de Silver from the multiplayer. Dirge
Oh
of
yeah,
Cerberus.
like that. Yeah, the multiplayer.
Sleep Easy has mentioned so much that I think that Square Enix should watch Sleep Easy's videos and really listen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, very thoughtful.
And Elfe, she's such a big character. And the Turks, oh my goodness, before Crisis, that was something else we were going to talk about. Each of those player Turks, there were 10 of them. and they each had a background, a story. I mean, they really need to do a spin-off on just the Turks to focus on them, to kind of like, so that way they don't take away from like the main story. But I mean, just to kind of, because there's so many story threads. You got the story of the Turks, the story of Rufus, the story of Evan and Kyrie and Leslie, and then you got the stories of other side characters, and now you got Roche in there.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I mean, and all these new characters that are going to be coming up, whoever they're going to introduce, and then Sonon, and then also ZG, Naya, Polk, Billy Bob. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many story threads now that they have that's happening simultaneously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think a good majority of like at least the Dirge of Cerberus stuff on that side of things, I really do think it's going to be solved in a resolved, going to come to a resolution in the second intermission. So I think like it'll be Vincent as the main character, like Yuffie was the main character. It'll be Vincent, and he'll go off and resolve the whole Deep Ground situation. That way it'll be a full circle thing for Dirge of Cerberus fans, that he gets to go in there and really solve that. And that would be fun to get to play. Maybe that's why they're not even talking about doing a remake, because it's like, hey, we got you covered. But yeah, so like that's what I'm thinking at the end of all of this, right? So if this is going to be a new story from here on out, an unknown journey, if you will, I've kind of come to this acceptance that I'm like, all right, it's not going to be like the original. I've already thought of that. So does Aerith have to die? Like, is that a necessity? Right? Is that something? And for me, as an like original, a super fan of the original, right, and loving it so much. And
I loved it too.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like you said, like as you said, you're already on this understanding that this is new. Like this is it's not going to be the remake of the original. Am I correct? Like, right? I mean, obviously, is
exactly.
that correct? Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like, all right, now she's already in this sense, if we're going off of that theory, that ideal, she's already done that. So she's already died. Unless if she is talking about that with the flowers, and she's like, I know what I have to do, or something like that, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Sorry for the Star Wars references, but she kind of has an understanding. She's like, I know what I have to do, or something like that. And whether that meant she knows that she has to go and die, or if it means that at the end of the highway where she creates a different portal and changes destiny, and then that's what she was afraid of. But anyways, she's already done that. Zack has already made that sacrifice at the end, so that way he could die in order for the original to happen, in order for Dirge of Cerberus to happen, in order for Sephiroth to travel back in time, in order for the remake timeline to start. And therefore, Zack is reborn, Rebirth, and then boom, there he is. And so Zack has already done it.
That was perfectly explained.
So all of that happened for a reason, if you want to look at it that way. Now, this is me making it make sense, right? In my opinion, I like, just to say it without the well thought out, like, I want this, I want those moments. I want Aerith to die. Like, I really want that to happen. Just because I'm going to be like, I know when I'm playing the game, even though I've come to that understanding, I know when I'm playing the game, I'm going to be like, I'm going to be on edge, and I shouldn't be, but and then if she doesn't die in the moment that she's supposed to, I'm going to be upset for the next couple minutes until something happens, and then like I'm going to be waiting. If they do like a fake out thing, and then she dies later, I'm going to be like, I'm feeling relief, right? And we made that video, but anyways, that's where I stand on it, and I do enjoy where you're coming from on this one, Zack, because like you said, man, if this is an alternate timeline, or if this story has already happened and everything, so yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Zack. Like, Aerith doesn't have to die. You want a more satisfying ending. You want a more happy ending, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to definitely see Aerith and Zack, kind of like finish what they started, so to speak. What were their plans? And maybe even like as an ending, maybe kind of like see the spirit of Ifalna and Professor Gas come back and kind of like give Aerith and Zack their blessing, so to speak. And and to kind of like to really give some true resolution. And I mean, I'm sorry, like I said, I'm a happy kind of guy, and I just think that the world has a lot of darkness in it at the moment, and that's kind of how I see it as a new story. See some, they're fighting for a brighter future now, but of course I do want to see some tragedy in part 2. There definitely needs to be a low point, but then because that'll make the happy ending that much more satisfying, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they have to go through something. Like it's got to be something. But yeah, I mean, like those are some pretty big subjects that I've always been just kind of constantly thinking about. Like, how am I going to feel when this happens? And like, really, what can they do with Zack that I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, that was. I mean, it has to mean something, in my opinion. Like, it has to mean something. So.
It's completely valid. Oh yeah, by the way, Daniel, do you remember the very first trailer that they showed in 2015 where it showed Zack and Barrett walking? It says, whatever it's to some it will bring fear, but to whatever it is, let us embrace whatever it brings.
Oh man, that echoes in my mind. It was when Cloud and Barrett were walking. Yeah, but yeah, I think you meant to say Cloud.
I kept wanting to see that part in the game. I was like wondering, where is that?
Yeah, man, where they're walking towards,
so
walking
cool
through the crowd, dude. Oh, trust me, man, I watched it. So it's giving me chills already. I'm thinking about 2015, and it's still getting me all excited. But yeah, those words echo in my mind every time. They're like, it may bring fear, it may bring joy, whatever it brings, let us embrace, or something like that. Yeah, and it's just like, you were telling us right then that things were going to be different. You told us. But yeah, so that's I love that freaking trail. I watched that so many times. But
I would like to share one more thing that you had touched on a second ago, which was about Dirge of Cerberus remake. What I would literally like to see is like when they make it like in the remake style, where you play as Vincent, where he has melee attacks, and then he could use his gun attacks, kind of like in the remake style, and then actually have a point where he could have Yuffie join his party as like a sidekick character. That would be really cool. And then have Kate Sith come in to be able to help him out in some parts of the game, and then even Shulk towards the end.
That would make for a really great. I think intermission, man. Like that would make a great intergrade, Rebirth intergrade. That would be awesome.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. I can do it to you. I'm sorry.
But what I was going to say, when you just said intermission, that was another fan fiction I wrote. I wrote a middle chapter in intermission, where basically ZG's cell basically gets requested because another cell in Sector 8 slums needs help. So basically Yuffie and Sonon agree to help ZG and their party go and find out what's going on in the Cell 8, and they find out that 3 members of the Avalanche Cell 8 were killed, and they go to investigate. And then basically in this fan fiction, ZG actually joins the party this time. And they go to a store and they find an old pair of sais from Wutai. And then ZG starting to basically, his Wutaian roots are starting to awaken in him. And then part ZG, he's like pretty badass in the fan fiction, and he helps, he fights, and then well, I don't want to give it away, but yeah.
Oh man, that sounds so. It's like you've written so much. That's awesome. I've written 4 fan fictions, and I felt like that, and I also kind of developed the Avalanche branch characters, Nio, Billy Bob, and Polk. And ZJ was supposed to be like the leader of Avalanche, right? Like he's the leader. I think. Yeah.
And basically, he's Wutaian. So I kept thinking to myself, wouldn't it have been cool if ZG would have been playable in some parts as like another guest character? And then at that point, they could have actually developed the tri attacks, like in Chrono Trigger, how they have dual and then they have like tri attacks, and like and like the 3 of them are fighting a boss at the very end, and the only way to defeat it is to do a tri attack. So like Yuffie and Sonon and ZG have to do this multiple like Wu-Tang attack.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang attack.
The
Wu-Tang attack, man.
It's Sorry, I had to do it. I had to go there.
Oh man, yeah, that's a great point though too, because I do think that they were like experimenting with the team attacks and stuff in intermission. So like now with Rebirth, that's something I think we can expect. I really do think we can expect to see like the tri attacks. That would be awesome. Like the little like if you can get it built up to where you can team up with like Barret, Tifa, and Cloud and do like this super attack. That'd be pretty freaking cool. They have to find a way to make the Rebirth combat system new and exciting while keeping the same. But anyways, so Vinny, have you seen anything from chat? I feel like I've been following chat and I've seen a few things. I want to make sure we touch on them. Oh, you're muted. I think you're muted. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
That's
There was
okay.
stuff going on in the back. Oh, yeah, we have a couple of people who chimed in. We have Jutsu who says Zack witnesses her death somehow in Rebirth and comes back in part as punished Zack with an eye patch and Dragon Slayer's sword from Guts.
Punished Zack. Punished Zack.
And then we have Captain Cosmic says that I think that Zack will definitely die again. He's a hero and his role will always be the price of freedom.
All right. I like it. So if he comes back,
that's definitely the theme.
Yeah.
I was going to say that was definitely the theme in Crisis Core.
Yeah. So it's the matter of, is that still the crux of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? I'm using that word so much. But yeah, like so. Yeah, I mean, is that what they're trying to go for this time around? It's a question, for sure.
Well, it's fun speculating for sure. I mean, nobody's wrong.
No, not at all.
And it's fun. I mean, I was really nervous about doing this, but now I'm really having a good time. Like bouncing ideas off you guys. I mean, this is
Wu-Tang Attack, baby. Yeah, man, we keep it fun, we keep it energized and exciting, man. You know, so it's been great. It's been great having you on, man. I've also had a great time having you on and talking to you. I really enjoy, like I said at the top of the show, when you're commenting on our channel with the big, in-depth, well thought out comments. It really means a lot, man. And that goes out for a big shout out to Vincent Graymore too, who does the same thing. Vincent Graymore, has those same those long comments that some people go like, oh my god, people leaving these long comments, but I love reading them. It's just, it comes from a place of passion that I really love. And even Vincent Graymore, who has a lot of thoughts that are not popular with a lot of fans. I love to read them. So if you ever see those kind of things and comment, anybody else, viewers out there, if you see something that you don't agree with, just embrace it, right? Just let them speak their mind, let them be passionate about it. Even if they hated Rebirth or Remake, that means they loved the original, so they're passionate about it, man. They're just venting. They wanted to have a place to talk. So I really love that. So
the 2015 trailer. To some it may bring fear, to some it may bring joy, but let us embrace whatever it brings.
That's it. It echoes in my mind all the time. I'm like, damn it, they told me, and I didn't see it. But yeah. So anything.
So Vinny, let me ask you guys, both of you, this. Like, did you guys see the opening for Before Crisis?
I actually watched somebody play Before Crisis on their flip phone on YouTube.
Yeah, somebody. It was a crap. Was it archaeology or the Grimoire? I think it was the Grimoire something.
All I know is I tried getting it on my phone so many times.
Yeah.
I think somebody has found a way to emulate it onto. You have to jump through a lot of hoops.
Shout out to that real quick. Big shout out, I gotta say. You can go to Sunamod's Discord, and I wanted to tell you about this too, Zach, because I know you were talking about like, oh yeah, they really should remake Before Crisis. shout out. Go to Sunamad's Discord or sunamods.com and then find their Discord.
Talk about the guy who made used was it the RPG Maker, and he remade it.
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's that took a lot of work. I mean, that was. Yeah, I've seen that. That's really awesome looking.
It even had voice acting, which I thought was interesting. but yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to give a shout out there. Sunamod's always doing incredible work. With 16:9 true widescreen just being introduced to the original Final Fantasy VII. Insane.
One thing I would like to share real quick while we're on the topic of Before Crisis. If they, when they remake it, which I'm hoping that they do, I'm praying that they do, that what they should do for each chapter is like 28 chapters of Before Crisis. I mean, it's really long. They should they think there's like 6 player Turk characters that you can choose as to start out as, and each one of them, and has their own character, their own background. They should allow the players to switch them up each chapter, to whether it's this one or a pair or maybe even 3 of them they can play as in remake style, and actually go around exploring Final Fantasy VII Remake as a shotgun, as nunchuck, as knife, as katana. And by the way, Katana, the player Turk, is from Gungaga, the same town as Zack, and he's got dark hair, the whole thing going on. So it kind of made me think: is he related to Zack or a cousin or something? That would be kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
And there's 6 of them you can start out as, and of course more Turks end up getting recruited throughout the game, and it just keeps getting more and more interesting. These Turks are so fascinating that they should really have a spin-off on their stuff, which is why the trademark, I guess, Final Bar Line and Labyrinth Striker could be potentially a game based on all these player Turks and introducing us to them.
Yeah, I forgot about those trademarks that were patented way back at the beginning of the year. We still haven't heard anything yet. But yeah, so that's interesting. I like how you said, what was the name of the guy from Gungaga?
Katana. I think his real name online it says is Balto.
Okay. Well, in Gungaga, you run into some Turks. And I'm just I think it would be cool to kind of sprinkle them throughout Rebirth as well,
Well, actually, they are. They're hiding throughout the world because basically, Sung wanted to protect Veld or Verdot, I guess the old chief of the Turks, and Elfe, his daughter. You find out that that's his daughter, so he basically fakes their deaths so that way they can escape. And all the other player Turks, they basically go run into hiding into the world.
Yeah. So they're there. I mean,
they are there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to ignore that in Rebirth. I really do think that they're going to be there. And
in Costa del Sol, I mean, they're the most powerful of one of the player Turks. His name is Legend. He actually has his own episode. He's his weapon is the bombs. He uses bombs and stuff, and he has a whole episode dedicated to him. Yeah. Very interesting character. There's so many characters that they don't explore. That just There's the universe of Final Fantasy VII is so humongous that they could go on for another 10, 15, 20 years if they really wanted to.
I'm sorry, I gotta say though, to your point, I know you really want the remake of Before Crisis, and honestly, I do too. I think that would be amazing if they did something like that. They did say in an interview where they were it just makes more sense to do Crisis Core because it's a remake master. In a sense, they already had that ready to go, and it's it was easy to kind of translate that in. Whereas Before Crisis would need a full blown, from the ground up remake. And I totally get what you're saying. I would love it, and I would not turn it down. 100%, I would not turn it down. But I do think that is the purpose of Ever Crisis. I do think that Ever Crisis is the whole purpose of that coming out and them releasing the whole compilation. Is so that people who had never experienced Before Crisis will be able to experience it in that way. And then, of course, you'll get to play the original. You even get to play Crisis Core, Advent Children, and you'll get the whole compilation story, which is what I was saying earlier in the show, because they want to wrap that up in the remake trilogy. But yeah, man, I would absolutely love a Before Crisis remake. kind of think that they're going to do that in Ever Crisis. That they're going to say that's your remake type thing.
Well, I mean, maybe if they see how popular it becomes. I mean, now that Square Enix is pretty much consolidating now, they're selling off a lot of stuff. I mean, they'll be able to have more money now. The profits will be rededicated back into the projects that make them the most money. True. So if they see that there's interest there, that could definitely, I think it could potentially be a thing. I mean, like I said, I think it's how good Rebirth sells, and the new spin-offs, whatever they're planning on making. I mean, I would have liked to have seen a Tifa spin-off. That would have been kind of cool. I remember, I don't know if you read that comment I sent to you a while back.
Yeah, I'm sure I read it. What was it about?
It was basically a spin-off, Final Bar Line. That was the thing. And basically, I figured it was a spin-off about Tifa and her, and basically how she goes to Midgar. She's healing. She's got all this debt to pay. And basically, the crux of the game is that she meets Jesse. She befriends Biggs and Wedge. And like their party members, she go on little adventures and stuff. And basically, it's to make money. And the main objective of the game is to basically buy Seventh Heaven from the original owner, and then she becomes the bar owner.
Final bar line, yeah.
Yeah, and then basically it would have three endings. The disappointing ending where Tifa is not unable to buy Seventh Heaven, and so she kind of remains and doesn't really succeed. And then you get the standard ending where she buys it. They have a celebration of Avalanche. Barrett's there. Everyone's kind of happy. And then if you do all the missions in it, you get the super good ending where you get the secret ending where she goes and she finds Cloud at the train station and brings him back.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. And then
tying all the events to the original game.
See, that's the thing, man. We can explore anything that wasn't shown off screen. Final Fantasy VII fans want it. Like, anything that wasn't shown on screen. Final Fantasy VII fans want it, right? Like, we didn't get to see her come to Midgar. We want to see that. We want to be there. And
they're selling all those buns and stuff.
Yeah, man. I want to do that. Yeah, I mean, they're all great ideas. And I mean, like, we saw that with Remake, how they are taking the time to really dive into each and every character rather than just Cloud. So it would make sense to really explore, what happened to Tifa, and let's get some more of that when we're doing the Nibelheim flashback, or the Calm flashback or whatever. Maybe Tifa chimes in a little bit, maybe
that would be great.
Yeah, because like Remake has already kind of established that it's like, hey, we already know, we know that so we need to have something that's going to be a little bit a hook in the story. So more Zangan, Captain Calinsmic. Yeah, I agree. And then just real quick, Cordial, like to know too, was young Sephiroth in the OG before Crisis? He would not. Cordial would like to know, since yeah.
No, actually, I mean, he's in it though. He's younger.
He's younger, yeah, but it's not the one from Ever Crisis trailer where that's young Sephiroth.
It doesn't really have a Wutai. It doesn't have the Wutai war in it. No, I think we're going to see that in First Soldier, perhaps, and Ever Crisis session. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. We're going to see more of that with Sephiroth with short hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pop star Sephiroth.
Pop star Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to
it's definitely going to be fascinating. I mean, we are at such an awesome time right now. There's going to be so many good things coming.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. I kind of just lost my thought.
No, man, my bad. I just kind of I felt bad because I really wanted to find. It wasn't Sunamod's. I felt bad because I gave Sunamod's the credit. It was just in Sunamod's Discord. It was Curado from Curado is doing a Before Crisis, recreating Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII. It's Curado. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, it's under the Sunamod's Discord. I want to make sure I get my sources correct here. I'm a stickler for it. You got to give credit where credit's due.
There's nothing wrong with being professional.
Yeah. But so I do think we are going to close out the show now. There's so much we can talk about, and I really enjoy talking to you, Zach. So I'm so happy you came onto the show. Now, closing out the show, is there anything you would like to add? Anything, just a little nugget of something, give me, if there's something you're most excited for in Rebirth. Tell us what you got coming up. You do have that, fanfic with Red 13 coming up, so just plug away, tell us what you're excited about, and we'll close out the show.
Honestly, I check online all the time to see if there's any new news about Final Fantasy VII. I keep thinking that they're going to announce something for Soldier, so I'm always checking out their social media. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm kind of like trying to add a writer's block right now in the fanfic. I'm trying to like figure out exactly, what kind of experiments would Hojo have done on Red 13. Other things, fitness tests, stress tests, have him fight monsters or something, what kind of, how was he abused? That's the kind of part I'm trying to explore a little bit. And then exactly how were the clones made? Did they take some cells and then like find some matter and then just like all of a sudden just somehow clone Red 13, and how like Cobalt 14 and Indigo 15 were created? And obviously, since in the remake they're not there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how would they, if in Rebirth, how would they appear? And one of the things is, if they did, I could see Hojo sending them after Red 13, saying, he said he's better than you, prove him wrong or something. And then like have them go and tracking Red 13 down, like a mercenary or something in a way. And did you see that action figure I sent you in your Discord?
Yeah, I do. I want to share that. But yeah, like that is really cool. You made this action figure.
No, I didn't make it. No, I didn't make it. Somebody else on
sorry.
DeviantArt made it. I found it, and I fell in love with it. I mean, there's one ship. I was trying to get the guy who did it to go ahead and make Indigo 15 to make a violet one.
Yeah.
With the cyborg looking kind of like mechanical piece, I guess the way he had envisioned it. That's like so awesome.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up right now. This is a figure of Cobalt. Let's see if I can find it. I just saved it, so it should be right here. Boom. Open that up. There it is. Okay, yeah. So you can see that right there on screen right now. That is such a cool thing, and like it looks like he had like the mechanized eye and everything. Yeah. To get more of the species of Red 13 would be cool. I like that. And then how the clones were made, to answer that question, that's it's a very interesting thing. Like, you can run away with this. I mean, Hojo is not opposed to being a little bit inhumane, and
he's kind of like he's kind of like the Kefka of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah, he's the Kefka of Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. So I mean, chat, you guys have anything for that before we close out? Like, how do you think if we had to just take a trip? Take a mind trip with me. You know what I mean? Take a mind trip. How were these clones made? I want the best answer in chat. I'll read the best answer, you know what I mean? How were they made?
Yeah, I'd like to hear what they think, what the people in chat think.
Yeah. Yeah. So but yeah, I mean this right here is super cool. What's up?
I'm sorry, I'm keeping your show going longer than you guys planned.
It's all good, man. We're gonna close it out right after this one, but I'm glad you reminded me, because I did want to show this off. This is a really cool figure of Cobalt, and it just kind of gets your mind going of like, oh wow, what if they did bring that into Rebirth? They just as like a nod to this developmental process, in the process of development and stuff, Hojo got them high and made them bang. So there you go.
and actually, just to kind of like to tag on to that idea, what I was thinking. So, with the whole happy ending thing I was telling you about, as far as the Nanaki clones are going,
yeah.
So if Red 13 would want to spare them, perhaps Denna would be willing to allow herself to be cloned twice. And maybe create like a magenta 16 and a yellow 17.
Oh, I would like that. I'd like that.
And then basically that right there would allow them to basically repopulate their species. Now that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't like Red 13 still. Maybe they still kind of have some distrust towards him, but having that would kind of allow them to kind of go off and live their own lives, so to speak.
Yeah, like it totally makes sense if you would have said, like, if this was the case where like Denna was the one that was captured, I would have more ideas for you on how they were able to clone him. But like how they were able to produce these clones. I don't think there was any. I'm trying to think in Final Fantasy VII, were there any other instances of clones? Besides that, unless if they were trying to just fuse Red 13 cells with Genova cells, and that's how they came up with them, and they're more disfigured and monstrous. I mean,
actually, they in some with those that mechanized eye, since Red 13 is blind in one eye, that kind of gives them more of a superior advantage over him, because they can use they got the
Genova
two eyes now.
Yeah, and the two eyes. Yeah, yep. So that's the only thing I could think of, is they just fused with, like, everything is Genova to Hojo. So like maybe he tried to fuse Genova cells into cells of Red 13, created a clone or something. But that is definitely very excited to see what you come up with for your fanfic. And everybody should go check it out, man. fanfiction.com/minstrel minstrel of May.
Yes, there you go.
Of May. Yeah.
And if you and Vinny come up with any ideas, please shoot them to me. I mean, just
yes, yeah. Sorry, I'm on the spot, so I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of ideas, like to back it up with something from Final Fantasy. So I will be thinking about it, and I'll let you know.
Well, you'll think about it as soon as we end the show.
Yo, jump back in.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again. This has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this.
Oh man, we'd love to have you back on again for sure. Vinny will be unfortunately going away for a little while he does his classes for work. So there will be openings for guests. So we'll definitely be in touch. Thank you everybody for tuning in for the first time. We went live on YouTube. I hope that went well. It doesn't tell me how many people were watching on YouTube live, but thank you so much for watching on YouTube. What's up?
It does tell you.
Oh yeah, not on my Streamlabs. I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I hope that went well. Thanks. Vinny said that a few people were for chiming in from chat on YouTube, so that's great. Thank you for the Twitch followers as well for being in chat, and this has just been a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun too. We're going to close it out now. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Final Fan TV.